Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel where we review anything and everything. And today we're going to get into a comparison video of all of the multi-tools that I own. Now, obviously there are other multi-tools out there, so this is really just reflecting the ones that I own, and doing this kind of general comparison that might help you in terms of selecting one that you might want uh, for your everyday carry, along with just presenting different the different brands that I have, because other than two of them being the same brand, all of these are actually different brands, and we'll kind of go into some of the strengths and weaknesses of each in this ultimate comparison guide for EDC multi-tools, just within the specs or lineups of what I have. So, so jumping into it, I have them actually in the order of which ones I purchased first. So here you have the Gerber suspension, the Leatherman Wingman, the Flissa 16 in 1, or also known as a Leatherman Wave clone. This right here is the Gerber Armbar drive. I used to have the slim, but I lost it. And if I had that, I probably wouldn't end up buying this one, but I needed a replacement and I was able to get that for a good price. So that's the Gerber Armbar drive. And this right here is the BiBury Pliers Pro is the name that it's given on the box. But it's also considered a Leatherman Surge clone. So from this point on, I'm going to pretty much just name them by their brand, other than the Gerbers, because they have the same brand name, and I'll distinct those two. But other than that, I'm just going to name them at this point by just saying, the Gerber, the Leatherman, the Flissa, and the BiBury. So these are all, for the most part, different levels of tools. What's interesting here is that just on a tool, what's the word I'm looking for here? I guess level. The Wingman, the Leatherman here, the Wingman would be considered below. If this was, though this is a clone of the Wave, would be below the Wave, and the Wave will be below the Surge, but this is a clone of the Surge. So in that aspect, you're getting a different dynamic in terms of, the weight of the tool. When I say the weight, I mean its use. So how intense it is, or broad it is, or like what it's used for. But with that being said, what's interesting about this dynamic and being compared is that because these are different brands and not Leatherman brand, they're more affordable, to where actually currently right now, the Leatherman Wingman is the most expensive of all these tools if you bought them for what their price is, say on Amazon. And I'm going to have a link in the description, affiliated link down below for each one of these on Amazon. But essentially, this is probably the most expensive, somewhere around $70, whereas this is going for $60 without a coupon, though sometimes it offers a coupon. And this one right here is going for $30 without the coupon, and sometimes they offer a coupon. I'm not too sure the current price on the Gerber suspension, but I know that the Gerber armbar is often somewhere around, I want to say, the high 30s, maybe $40. So it is kind of expensive for what you're getting, but we'll get into all that in a moment. But just wanted to make note that how you getting the Leatherman brand puts this tool, which should be below this one and below that one in terms of function, more expensive than all of them. So starting off, I'm going to put all these aside, and we're going to start at one before the other. And I'm going to actually just go in the order that I purchased them. So this is the Gerber armbar. I'm sorry, this is the Gerber suspension. As a matter of fact, yeah, I'm going to go through all of them first. Then I was going to lay them all out open, but let me just go through all of them first. Then I'm going to lay them all out open for you to see all of them all next to each other outside of their case. So this is the Gerber suspension. Now, I bought this tool a long time ago. For a lot of people, this is a fan favorite because it came out a very long time ago. It was very affordable. When I purchased it, I got it on sale, but it was very affordable at the time. And it's just a very solid multi-tool. It feels solid, it feels strong, the quality feels really good for it. And if it was going for the same price it was back then, because with inflation all of these tools have gone up in price, but if it's going for the same price it was back then, I honestly would say that it's probably one of the best bangs for the buck, because the quality feels definitely there. The finishing, everything about it is really nice. I don't think this tool gets as much credit as it should, because not only does it feel good, it looks nice, it feels strong. I like the pliers. This is the one that I often carry on my inside my duffel bag whenever I'm going places, like, to work or wherever the case is, or I'll just throw on me. I always have it in a bag, in my duffel bag, if I take that anywhere, vacation or anything. But what's interesting about this tool here is that all of the tools, other than the pliers, obviously, are on the outside, which I think is nice. And the mechanism, the locking mechanism, is very intuitive. It's not just where, have some kind of ordinary basic lock mechanism. It's a lot more sophisticated than your basic locking mechanism, because it's this right here. You can grab it from here and this side, just wrap both fingers around like that, pull down, and that's how you unlock. You have the ones on the edges right here. Other than this one, which is the scissors, and that's another thing too, they tell you right here, the straight edge, the scissors are on the side. This is the serrated, and it lets you know right there. Even though it doesn't look like an image of a serrated knife, it's hard to see the serration, but at least you know that it's a knife. This right here is the saw. Now, the knives both come out easy to flick out, because they have that little piece right here that you can flick it out easy, whereas the scissors and the saw doesn't, probably because they're not tools that you would readily use, but at least they come out. Now, one thing with the saw here, you kind of have to get some of the other tools out to get to it, but nonetheless, the other tools are very easy to get out, and so then it's not hard for you to get to it. But once again, just pointing out the fact that the tools are all on the outside, so it's definitely a plus. Let's just run through all the tools that are on it real quick. So you have your flathead screwdriver, your saw, obviously I have right there, your Phillips, even though it's very two-dimensional, but this is an older tool, so it's kind of predating their evolution of making things a little bit more 3D, which you'll kind of see that with the Gerber Armbar drive, because that is also Gerber, and they kind of went to the whole next level in terms of getting around that. So here you can see you have your flat blade knife, the flathead screwdriver, the Phillips, and your saw all on this side here. And then you press this to bring them all down. It's a nice solid set of tools. I think that it's definitely a positive. I like the set of tools that they have on this. I feel like they have a lot, and I feel like they all are something that does useful. Here you have your can opener, bottle opener. I'm not too sure what that piece is, what that is there. Maybe it's a pry tool, maybe, I'm not sure, but that would be your bottle opener. And then that's your can opener. Or maybe they're both can openers. I don't even know, to be honest with you. Your small flathead screwdriver. And then you actually have, what's funny here, you have a little do they call this, is this count as a carabiner clip? I know normally like the rock climbing ones are considered that, but I guess like a little keychain clip, if you want to call it that. So it's funny that they put that in a tool spot, but maybe you don't need it, so you don't need it hanging out. And if you do, well, you could just put that out and you could use that. So I think that's interesting that they even incorporated that. So for this being such an early multi-tool, it really had a lot of options and a lot of things that you could do with it, which was really great. Now, one thing I will say that I always felt was a flaw with this, I had to really knock credit on it, is the scissors. To me, the scissors are very bad. The reason why is that they cut fine. That's not the problem. Let me put these away here. They cut fine. The problem is that as a spring piece shouldn't just be this thin wire that can fall out of place, because it does. So here it's okay, but I've had times, maybe because I haven't used it in a while, that it's a little more set. But I've used this and then the little spring would fold over the scissor blade part or the handle part. And I wouldn't be able to cut anymore, because every when I did like this, it just went over it. So maybe it fell a little more in place after sitting in, in the tool for a while. But that was like a negative to me, that could even happen. And once that happens, it's like that for a while. That part I think was just a major flaw with that. But other than that, like I said, I love the finishing on it. I love the colors. It feels like a very tight tool. It doesn't feel like it's loose. Um, you can see here the wire cutters, they touch. I think that's a very big deal, because one of the tools here, the Leatherman, doesn't do that. So yeah, I really like this tool, and for the price that it was very affordable at the time, and I think it's just a great overall tool. I don't think you can go wrong with that at all. Now next is the Leatherman Wingman. Now this is my first and only Leatherman. The quality feels okay. It feels, I can't even say necessarily it's better than the clones of Leatherman, but at the same time, and maybe it's because, like I said, this is considered a lower model versus the clones are higher models, even though they're clones, in terms of the total pole of Leatherman. But the area where I will say that the Leatherman shines in is, and I'm going to get into this more in a moment, but the pulling the tools out here, I like the way it feels. They give you a very, like, a deep kind of notch for you to pull them off of, and it's an easy pull. Where some of the clones, I have problems with some of the tools getting them out. I don't have that problem with the Leatherman at all. It feels just very comfortable and smooth pulling out the other tools. So that's one thing I will say when it comes to this. In addition to that, with the Wingman, I really like the tool set in terms of it's simple and it's basic, but at the same time too, I feel like it gives you everything you need without too much of the stuff that you don't need. So for example, the knife, granted, it's a mixed blade. You have serrated and a flat edge both, so it's a combine. But it still works for you using it for basic daily needs, nothing too specific. You want to use it to open up a package or something like that, or cut some, it gets through fine. Having, after you just saw the scissors we saw on the Gerber, having a nice pair of just big chunky scissors with a spring that is not going to bend out of place or fold over it, that part is one of the best parts about it. I really love the scissors on this. It just makes you enjoy using this for the scissors, because you have really good scissors. So that's one thing I really like. So even though this is one of their kind of maybe more entry level ranges for Leatherman, I really do like the tool set. You have a pocket clip, which I don't really use, but nonetheless, at least you have it there and it doesn't affect it being in its case as well. When you open it up, it feels solid enough. I feel that the Gerber feels a little more solid, but it still feels solid enough. The pliers feel nice. They have the spring action. The Gerber had spring action as well, and I had to make note of that because some of the later ones do not have, the later tools do not have spring pliers, so that feels nice. One of the flaws, like I just mentioned, about how the Gerber has where it touches, this one doesn't. You can see there, the light going through it. The wire cutters do not touch, and that to me, for some reason, I don't know why they would do that, yet at the same time, I've cut wires before with this and I didn't have a problem, which was funny to me because you have that space there. But for whatever reason, I guess it cuts it enough that, it just then breaks apart without a problem. Though I can definitely see where there would be situations where that's not going to be the case and you're going to have trouble. So far, I haven't run into that problem, but I'm sure that a person could or would. Um, these additional tools over here on this side is all just screwdriver stuff, which is kind of cool that that's all on one side. Here they give you the symbol for the flathead and the Phillips, when obviously you could see it yourself. And once again, here you see it's a two-dimensional Phillips, similar to the Gerber, which is fine. These were both entry-level tools. I feel that, this is kind of what they come with, so it makes sense in regards to that. Sorry if things were not in focus. I am tend to be looking at the tool outside of the camera's view than through the camera's view. So I'm sorry about that if it's been out of focus. And here was your flathead. So both of these work fine for what they are. When you go up the line with Leatherman, you get their proprietary um, bit driver that is not that much more dimensional than this one is here for the Phillips. So it's not really that much of a difference when it comes to that. On this side, you have only one of these tools I would really say is kind of useless. Now this can be used as at the tip of this, that's like a smaller flathead screwdriver. The file on this, I mean, I wouldn't really use it. The ruler, I think, has no point either, but I mean, it's really just for the flathead screwdriver. Obviously, the can opener and wire stripper that you get with this, and bottle opener, that's always a tool that you're going to always need. This one right here is kind of useless. It's a package opener. What's funny is I actually used it one time, and it actually was decent in terms of opening up a package, like those kind of I think they call them clamshell packages, but you got like, a flat piece of cardboard with a plastic bubble wrap over it, hard plastic. This cuts through it pretty well. And the only reason why I'm going to say that for some people this might have a purpose, and I've used it before, like I said, and it actually was pretty smooth to use. Normally, most of us will just use a knife, the straight edge knife, and it's not a problem. But say if you're the type who you don't want to cut yourself by accident, and it's funny enough, but I have seen people who cut themselves. This would eliminate that as a problem. So yes, this would eliminate that as a problem as far as you cutting yourself. Don't mind adding some a little bit extra light. So if the scene looks like it changed a little bit, I just add a little bit extra filler light to the scene. So yes, so in general, is it a wasted tool? Yes, it is. You could have put something better there, but does it work? It does if you really are concerned with cutting yourself. And the overall size of it is nice. It feels nice. Like I said, the quality feels nice. I don't feel the quality feels any better than the Gerber, but the Gerber feels tighter. But at the same time, there's something about this that feels just like very quick grab and go. In terms of its use, I don't know. Something about it just feels it's smoother to open up than the Gerber. It definitely has like a very smooth aspect to it. So it doesn't feel tighter in its tolerances necessarily, but it does feel very much like an easier just grab and go tool. It's not as stiff, so it's a lot easier just to kind of open up and quickly toss to the side, where the Gerber is a lot more stiffer. You don't open it as smooth, but it's very tight. It feels good. So they're a different feel. They both feel quality, but they're a different feel. In the hands, I will say the Gerber feels like it's better quality, but that's just, I feel like the way this is designed for the purpose of being very speedy to open and just, kind of just go at whatever you have to go at real quick. And that causes me to reach for this one a lot because of that, if that makes sense. So next we have the Flissa 16-in-1 Wave Clone. Now, in Leatherman's world, the Wave Plus is the Leatherman. They say it's the best selling, is what people say. It's that one that everyone reaches for. So by that theory or definition, this will be the ultimate tool. Now, as far as this Flissa version, it has some pros over the original, and then maybe some cons as well, even though, to be honest with you, because I have never owned one, I can't really speak on it. But at the same time, it definitely is very nice. Now here you have the flat edge knife, and it comes out very smooth. And it does have an aspect similar to the my Leatherman, where it does feel very easy to just pull out the tools and just jump into it, at least all the ones on the outside. You got your file, you got your serrated, and you have your saw. For me, I only use the flat edge knife most of the time if I grab for this, and most of us are just going to grab for that also. So keep that in mind when it comes to tools that you need versus the price. But this right here, going for such a cheap price, it doesn't matter that it may overpack the tools, because price alone just might make it worth it. And it doesn't really feel that much bigger, to be honest with you, than my Leatherman Wingman. It's negligible, the difference in size. It is bigger, but not by that much. So I wouldn't say it's a thing. And when they're in the cases, they literally have the same size case. So I wouldn't at all tell you, okay, well, there's a difference in that regard. So, um, yes. So when you open it up, these are not spring loaded pliers. So you're going to have to constantly do this and have that angle where you can get it open. And sometimes that doesn't feel very easy to do, to be honest with you. So that part is not going to be as convenient as, say, the spring loaded, like on the other tools. But it's fine. You can get used to it. Pretty simple. And then sometimes when you think about it, you're so used to multi-tools having spring loaded pliers on them, but realistically, most regular pliers don't have springs on them. So that's something that it shouldn't be that big of an issue. Now, when it comes to the inner tools, this is one area where it shines over say, the original wave. This being a clone, is it doesn't have proprietary bits, so it's a 1/4 inch bit, and a lot of people praise that because it's more universal, which is 100% true. And this is a 3-dimensional bit drive, as opposed to their proprietary ones, like I mentioned before, is very 2-dimensional, and it's not to the same level. And I hear they're hard to purchase, so that part's great. And this one comes with a double-sided, one Phillips and then one flathead on the other side. So, and I make note of that because one of the other tools that has one just like this doesn't have both Phillips and flathead. It has 2 Phillips, and you have to replace the bit with a different one to have the other flathead. So I make note of that. This one's a little more, everything you need comes with it in regards to that. Now, I'm not a fan of, this is where things like the Leatherman shines when it comes to getting the tools out. Like I mentioned to you before just a moment ago, how I don't have a problem getting those tools out. This one, getting the tools out is a pain. Now, I don't have nails, so that's one factor of it. But at the end of the day, I feel you shouldn't necessarily need to have long nails or even average nails. You can see I have literally no nails, but you shouldn't need that to be able to get these tools out. So you can see here the struggle that I'm having with it that I didn't have on the Leatherman. Now, some people might say, well, that's your fault because you don't have nails. But to that, I say I shouldn't need nails to be able to get my tools out. I want them to be that easy to get out, that I don't have to have nails to get them out. And that to me is a problem. You can see the struggle that I'm having here with these. And like I said, you can easily blame me for not having nails, or you could blame the tool for not being easier. And if all the other tools were just as hard, then I would 100% accept the blame being on me. But when the other tools like the Gerber and the Leatherman, I was able to get the tool out without a problem, then I do not accept the blame being on me. So here, I got it out finally. You see the struggle I did here on camera. That's the struggle I have to get these out, which is why I would never reach for me, meaning that I have multiple multi-tools. I would never reach for this if it came to me needing these tools. So with that being said, you have to say to yourself if this tool is for you in that regards. Like I said, this is a clone of the most popular Leatherman. And so at $29 and whatever the price might be currently, once you're watching this video, just know it's probably a more affordable price than a lot of the other options that are here. I actually believe it is the most affordable option of all the, it is the most affordable option of all the tools here. But with that being said, that's something you would have to deal with if you don't have nails. Now you have your typical can opener, bottle opener, wire stripper, your small flathead screwdriver, your basic flathead screwdriver, and I won't consider that large. I consider that like basic. And then you have your scissors, which the scissors, they're nice. I'm going to put these other tools away. They're nice in terms of the way they cut. The spring is not like just a rounded bar like on the Gerber, so the spring is probably not going to fall out of place the same. But there are small scissors. You can get by with them. I particularly like bigger scissors, like you saw on the Leatherman. So that's me. So if that's like one of your main tools you want to have, the scissors, then this may not be the one for you. But overall, it's nice. It's fine. It's a nice size. It feels easy to kind of just open up and get into. Similar to my Leatherman, not as easy, but still very easy just to get into. Meaning tension is not as hard as the Gerber, where it's hard to open up, pull your knife out very easy. So it's great. I would just say the only thing I would say is a negative to this, to me, is if you need anything from this tool set over here, that's annoying to me to reach for. But most of the time, I'm not needing any of those. And so since you only need them in a pinch, it's fine to have them. But at the same time, too, that's the only thing I would really say is a negative about this. Other than that, everything about this tool to me feels amazing, in terms of the quality, in terms of just using it and getting what you need to, get done. Now here goes the Gerber Armbar drive. Now I had the slim before, which wasn't really, it was thinner than this, but it was a little bit longer, maybe like about that much longer. But both of these tools pretty much the same. So when I'm speaking for this one, you kind of say speaking for the other one too, even though this one has a little bit more tools. But anyway, we're going to jump into what we have in front of us here. And to me, this is my favorite tool. I'm not saying it's the best for all the jobs, because it's not. What I love about this, and this might be the tool for you, because like I said, this video is really just kind of showcasing what is the tool that might be best for you, just comparing these ones from what I have and seeing which one fits you best. For your everyday carry, just to have on you. Maybe you want multiple of them. Maybe you want to throw them in different places, like your car, in your duffel bag, or whatever the case is. Have one at home, have one in your pocket. But if you're going to only have one, you're choosing which one works best for you. This right here, I like a lot because of the fact that I feel like it's just so pocketable. It's so pocketable. Yes, it doesn't have a pocket clip, but you can just literally throw this in your pocket, throw this in your jacket pocket, and it's so small. And it's one of those tools that what I love about it is it gives you everything you need and virtually nothing that you don't. And some of the tools in here that might seem a little more useless, like the slim version of this, had the screwdriver, bottle opener, and a knife, which is bare bones, just exactly what you need all the time. I feel like those three tools are exactly what you need. This one gives you a few more things that you might kind of, I'm not going to say consider not as useful, but it doesn't really change the size of the tool for what you're getting. So it's fine. With that being said, this one definitely gives you everything you need other than the awl. And I'm going to get in, excuse me. I'm going to get into all the tools in this in a moment. But aside from the awl, which is just pretty much, if you're not familiar with that, it's just a little pointy, like tiny pointy knife, just to jab at things essentially. Other than that, this right here gives you all the tools that you would need in a pinch without saying, I need something crazy, some heavy duty multi-tool. This gives you everything you need in a pinch in such a small package. So that's why I love it so much. A lot of people don't like it because they say certain things don't lock on it. If they had to do that for this to be this small, I think it's worth it. A lot of people knock it, but I don't knock it. I don't see anything wrong with it. So let me jump into the tool now. So first off, let's start with the straight edge blade, which is a very nice, long, straight blade. Not some weird, odd shape. It's just a nice shape, nice flat edge. Nothing wrong with it. There's a liner lock. It locks up. It's easy to do. It's not something hard. I may have to break it in a little more. When I had the slim version, I was able to do it with one hand, where I can't do this one that well with one hand, but this is still fairly new, so I got to break it in. And I'm sure it'll get there. The screwdriver with detachable bit. Now you can see what I mean when I said from Gerber had evolved from their older, the Gerber suspension to this, which they first had it in the center drive, the Gerber center drive, which I actually bought for a family member. And that was great. You really wanted it for this, like this, three-dimensional bit driven screwdriver. But the problem was that one is like, at the time when I bought it actually as a gift, it was a good price. It was like $85. Now that goes for like $125 or more. And it's so expensive. This gives you the best feature of that for a fraction of the cost. And the best feature of that is the screwdriver. And this is, the best feature of that, and it's put into this small package. Now, the thing about it is some people complain about it is because it doesn't lock. There's a small bit of retention, but it's really not much. But being that it's such a straight, you know, form factor, and it's a line completely straight, if you put tension moving forward on it like this, honestly, like you're not gonna, people are like, oh, it's gonna, I'm pressing hard. You see it going deep into my skin. You're not going to end up being like, oh, it's gonna, move, and that's not gonna happen with this because it's a line directly straight. And someone mentioned this in another video I was watching one time before. They were like, if you understand the ergonomics of things and the physics of things, you can push straight on this very hard and it's gonna go inwards. Now, granted, you're probably not going to be able to put your whole weight behind it if you're pushing down on it. You're leaning all your weight on it. Maybe you could, maybe you can't. But that's not what this tool is for. You have to understand that. This is for, I'm just screwing something in, and something, the screw pushes itself in off the fact that if it's one of those screws, which most screws are like this, obviously has the spiral on the screw, it's gonna pull itself in just from being turned. You don't need a lot of pressure, and anyone who's used a screwdriver before knows you don't need a whole lot of pressure to screw something in. Or maybe you're doing it on a toy, one of your kids' toys or whatever. You don't need all that. So when people get this impression like, I got to put all this force in it, if you're doing a job that requires that level of work, this is not the tool you should be using. You know what I mean? For that, just grab one of your power tools and just drill it in. So I think people get lost on what they're using this for when it comes to that. Any basic needs that you would use this for would screw it in without a problem. I've used it before. It's not a problem. So with that being said, I like that these tools are also very easy to pull out too. I mentioned that before, the previous tool, and this is super easy to pull out. Here goes your awl. Now, do I feel that the awl is something that um, is it something you really need for this tool? Not necessarily, but it really doesn't take up really any additional space, I don't feel. So that's not a problem. But in addition to that, I'm going to tell you why it does have a bit of use. Now, this tool here has this for screwdrivers, but then you also have this, which is your hammer or nail tap. And we'll get more into that in a bit. But with the awl, if you needed to get your nail started by digging a hole in a spot for where the nail is going to go, that actually works pretty well for that reason. So for any other reason, maybe you'd be like, why am I going to use an awl in the tool? But if you had to dig into a piece of wood, get a little hole going, and then afterwards, you take your regular basic nail, now start tapping down on it, you kind of got it started so you don't have to worry about it wobbling around. I think that little combination working together helps make the hammer part of this, and they call it a hammer, a little more functional. And so that part I think is really cool. I'm going to jump into that in a moment, but first let me just tackle these scissors, which are easy to get out because you have two different ways to do it. You can either grab it from this side, which you would move the rest of those tools out of the way if you need to. Like I said, I don't have nails, or you could have grabbed it from that edge. By the way, these scissors, now, once again, I'm going to say this just like I said with Gerber before on their other one. I don't like that type of spring because that rounded type of spring always has that chance of rolling over this because just the shape of it is rounded, so it can roll over that. But the size of the scissors are actually really good for this tool. And I don't plan to do major cutting with it. You might maybe like a kid's arts and craft project. You just happen to have that on you when you're, with them, whether it's at school or something like that. It's not the form factor of the scissors I like a lot. That spring I'm not a fan of, but overall in a pinch, it's not bad. And it still, once again, presents the tools that you need, only the stuff you need. So to get all the stuff you need in this small package without all the stuff you don't, I think is great. This is your pry bar and bottle opener, though most people just use it for bottle opener, but you could use it also for things like opening up a can of paint if you need to. But then you got the hammer piece here, which just makes sense. It aligns with the frame, so you can tap on it, and it's cool. It doesn't take up any extra space because you needed that for the bottle opener anyway. So I just think that this tool just utilizes all its space perfect. I love it. It's really my favorite tool because I don't like carrying a lot of heavy stuff on me. So this is just great in that regard. Sorry it took us such a long time on that tool, but I really do like it, and it's my preferred tool. Last, we have the BiBury, and it comes with additional saw replacements because it has a let me just take it out here so you could see it so you understand what I'm referring to real quick. A replaceable this is the file, but you can replace it with the saw pieces. And I'm not going to get into that or do that right now. You can look at my review on that because I know the video is dragging. And these are some additional accessories like replacement for the wire cutter blades. And this is the additional bit driver little kit right there. I'm not going to get into all that. You can look at the review that I already did. But essentially, this is the BiBury is a clone. I'm sorry, a Surge clone, which is Leatherman's like more beefier tool or bigger brother to the Wave. I do like this. You have the serrated. The tools come out very easy. Even this right here, your saw. Your file. I always keep calling that a saw because it's replaced with the saw bits. Your file, that comes out easy. Your straight edge blade was very, very big and it comes out easy without a problem as well. This one's similar to the my Leatherman. Has the scissors on the outside, which I like. And these are beefy scissors that have a very good spring that's not going to fold over it. So I like that. Sorry if it wasn't in frame. And I like that. So if that's your thing and you want the beefier tool, but you also want, like scissors on the outside, it's great. And then also too, this is actually cheaper than my Leatherman Wingman. So it's crazy, but with these new clones from these different companies, you get very good value in terms of the price. Now you open it up. It's not that hard to open up. It's a little stiff because I just bought it, but it still is not as easy as the Flissa, but it's definitely easier than my Gerber suspension in terms of just opening it up real quick. You have the bit here, the bit driver, which has a kind of spring retention when you're opening it. It locks, but it has a spring aspect to it, but it's still easy to open up. Now this one has double-sided Phillips, which that part I think is a negative, but once again, what's positive about this, you can always replace that with any other bit you just have around for your regular screwdriver because they will fit this. In addition to that, you do have a two double-sided flathead screwdriver bits on here, but unfortunately, it means you're gonna have to carry this around with you everywhere, which you gotta understand if you're getting into this tool, you're getting it for the heavy duty stuff and carrying around its case with you everywhere you go. Now, back again to the other tool set, I like the fact that this right here is easy for me to get into. It feels just like my Leatherman Wingman in terms of these internal tools having a very nice little notch to grab onto. It feels very smooth. They're very wide, so it really feels easy to dig in there with no nails. I love that about this tool, which makes it better in that regard than the Flissa. Now the tool set that's here, some people think that this is redundant to have these two flathead screwdrivers, but I don't think so because this side here has a double-sided Phillips. So this compensates for that. So it's almost like you're getting two Phillips on this side. It's not like you are getting two Phillips on this side and you're getting two screwdrivers on that side. So in that aspect, I don't mind it. The can over here, you saw how easy it was for me to get that out. It's so much easier, and I don't have nails. I just really just did it with the skin of my thumb. You have your can opener and bottle opener, wire stripper. The all here, to me, seems a little bit, this is just me, not everyone else. Some people might really have a use for this. To me, it's a little purposeless for what I use, but nonetheless, it's there. It's something you can use, but also too, they have an edge on here too, to a degree. So it might also have an additional use, maybe like a scraper or something like that. And you don't want to ruin the blade on your knife. So overall, I like this one too. And the fact that it still costs less than any major Leatherman means that even though you're getting a lot of tool, but it's not a big hefty price. And it's not spring loaded for the pliers. Obviously, most of the tools like this are not going to be that way, but it's cool when you have replacements for those as well. So I like this tool. I like the size of the Flissa, but overall, I like this tool better. I like the tool better because I can get the tools out easier. I like it better because the tool set is a little better to me in regards to having the scissors on the outside. I prefer big chunky scissors because I'll use that readily more than I will like a saw or like a file or whatever the case is, because I'm using it for more domesticated purposes. And yeah, so I like the size of this. I prefer this tool overall. It's just a better tool. Not a better tool, but just for my needs. So with that being said, I'm going to lay them all out and once again in the order that I purchased them. So this was a quick look at these tools, and whichever one you feel suits you best, you know, go with. If you feel that, um, this just gives you a better idea on the type of tool you're looking for. There are other companies like, say, Rocktal, and I believe there's a Mossy Oak that make a tool similar to this that's even cheaper. It's like about $20, and the Rocktal that has a similar tool like this, which is just like a single kind of dimension instead of like a double with pliers, it's $20. And then you also have one that's is a Mossy Oak that is $16. So I'm going to throw the link in the description for those two as well if you want a more affordable option, but you want something like this. I like this though with the color, and I just like the quality of the Gerber, because there's definitely going to be a different quality to it than, like, say, if this was cut in half and had one of these. It'd be nice, but there's something about this quality. It just feels very smooth. I don't think it affects the performance though at all. If you just want to pay a cheaper price. But with that being said, pick the one that you want. If there's like I said, just giving you an example there. If there's an off brand of these ones or some kind of variant, Leatherman for the Wingman, they also have the Sidekick, which is slightly different. The Flissa, you have a Rocktal clone for this one as well, which I did a review on the channel. You can go check that out, and link in the description for that is in that video. But I had some issues with it, so I don't really recommend it. But if quality control, maybe you'll get one that's better than what mine was. If you want to go for the Gerber suspension, and if the price happens to be good on it, I'm going to throw a link in the description, but currently I don't know what the price is on it. But at the time when I bought this years back, this thing was like on sale for like $15. I think the regular price on it was $20. I think since that time it's gone up to something close to like 35 maybe, but I'm not really too sure. I don't even know if they make it anymore because it has been replaced with other Gerber suspension. I think an NXT is called, and a Gerber truss. So those ones have replaced this, I believe. You can go for the Leatherman version of these, but just keep in mind, this being $30, the Leatherman version is right now $104, but its normal price is $120. And the Surge clone, this BiBury is $60, but the normal price of the Surge is $150. So just keep that in mind if you're going to go in those directions. But if you are like me, you're not a major tool person, then you using these within the capacity of just limited use, you don't need something that's super expensive. So any of these would suit you in terms of not going too high over budget. And I hope that this video helped in helping you guys select for everyday carry if you feel you need an everyday carry. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.